Chapter 21. On Their Way. How are you, my dear fellow? Please come through to my study. Ambrose looked tired and old for once, Harry thought, as he followed him into the study. They sat in their usual armchairs by the open fire. I believe you have been busy, Head Aura, Ambrose smiled. Busy and lucky, Ambrose, Harry agreed. We lost some good auras and enforcement officers, but we came close to losing them all. I thank my lucky stars that the MBI decided to have an outing to Malfoy Manor in the middle of the night. Most fortuitous, my dear fellow, Ambrose nodded. And that their agents were armed with weapons which could summon the power of sunlight, Harry continued. A lucky coincidence that was. Positively miraculous indeed, Ambrose conceded. Harry smiled. We seem to have Roll's organisation on the run, at last. The work's not over yet, but it seems manageable now. I would be delighted, but I lost friends. Ambrose frowned. I regret that I have been unusually busy with other concerns. More assistance, or more timely assistance, would have been preferable. I grieve the loss of your comrades. My concern now is that there is a rift between you and Draco. His redemption has been a beacon of hope. You told me you've tried to help Astoria after Lucius cursed her, Harry said. Tried and failed, Ambrose admitted. The Watcher has wrought some terrible mischief this time around. Even if we manage to overcome him and send him back to the Altar World, do not expect the mischief to be ended. Not just that he wrought on Astoria. We will be in for worse before it gets better. Pestilence, famine, and war, quite possibly. How are things going with Lydia and the Watcher? Harry asked. Perilously, I am afraid, Harry, Ambrose said. Lydia issued a challenge to the Watcher during the night. We now have to set out for the portal to the Altar World, or rather the ante-world between our world and theirs. If we do not reach the portal before the sun reaches its zenith, we forfeit the challenge. And if that happens? Harry asked. Then the Altar Worlders may swarm into our world. They would wreak havoc 1,000-fold greater than that we have experienced thus far, Ambrose explained. Which is why I must ask for your assistance, Harry. The Watcher will do all he can to prevent us from bringing Lydia's team to the gateway, which lies after the portal. I am attempting to assemble an escort to protect them on their way. Harry snorted. I am a bit busy, you know, Ambrose. I appreciate that, Harry, Ambrose said, a hard edge to his voice. But if we fail, nobody will ever be busy again. Nor indeed will they be anything again other than deceased. Good point, Harry conceded. When you put it that way, I don't think I can refuse. It would not need to be you personally, Harry, Ambrose said, though you might have difficulty explaining the background to a nominee. It's okay, I'll tag along, Harry said. I really do owe you. Who else you have? Most of those who have been looking after Lydia at Hogwarts, Ambrose answered. Minerva, Phileas, Rubeus, Stefano. Though not Neville, nor Draco, of course. I am also attempting to bring in a few other old friends. We shall see. Now, however, it is time for breakfast. I believe Lydia and her companions have arisen. It would hearten them to see you, I am sure. Harry grimaced. I'd love to join them, Ambrose, but I need to get back to Ginny to let her know what's going on. Ambrose gave him a broad smile. Your dear lady wife is here already, Harry. We should adjourn to the breakfast kitchen and join her. Harry! Ginny ran across the room and threw herself at him. Lydia, Sophie, and Freddie, who were already at the huge breakfast table, waved to him. The table in the breakfast kitchen had expanded to accommodate the increased number of diners expected. Excuse me for a moment, all, Ambrose said, I need to attend to the guests arriving in the living room. I shall return with them momentarily. Please do not wait. Take a decent breakfast. Lunch may be somewhat delayed." As Ambrose departed, Ginny and Harry sat with the youngsters and ordered their breakfasts from Fenton. Harry gave a short account of the battle at Malfoy Manor. The other members of Lydia's companions joined them from Hogwarts in ones and twos. They had all arrived apart from Dean and Jimmy, as Ambrose ushered in the adult visitors. The students shuffled nervously as Professor McGonagall entered. Stefano Verdi made an entrance in the manner of a superstar, arms spread wide and teeth gleaming. Phileas Flitwick made an understated appearance, as befitting his maturity. He was just as warmly welcomed by the students. Dean and Jimmy arrived shortly afterwards, talking earnestly together. The size of the gathering surprised them. Ambrose greeted them. "Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please continue with breakfast, but I must slip away to prepare our path with an old friend. When we are ready, I shall let Lydia know, and she will bring you all to our destination. A few more friends, Rubius and others, will meet us there." "Do you need any help?" Harry asked. Ambrose smiled. "I'm sure I can manage, my dear fellow, but I would be grateful for the company if you and Ginny wish to join me." "Ginny won't be going through with this, though," Harry stated. Ambrose raised his eyebrows. "Do you really think that is for either of us to decide, Harry? I believe your good lady wife may have an alternative view." Ginny took hold of Harry's arm. Ambrose addressed the breakfasting guests. "If you could be packed and prepared in about an hour, I would appreciate it. Until later." Ambrose took Ginny and Harry into the entrance hall. The scene changed to the inside of a village shop. Ambrose nodded to the young shopgirl, who smiled. At a slight gesture of Ambrose's hand, the shelves next to him slid away. Behind the shelves was a wooden door. "Is this—" Harry began. "Anglesey, yes," Ambrose confirmed. "We need a little help from the Druids. After you, Ginny." Ginny went through the doorway. Harry, then Ambrose followed. A tall, dignified lady with grey hair was standing by the table in the room beyond. She bowed her head in greeting. "Emrys, Mrs. Potter, Head Aura, welcome. It is sad to see you on such a momentous day. It has been a long time since such a day. When I was a little girl, my Nan would tell me stories of the last time." Ambrose nodded. "She did so well, especially as the youngest of that group, and with your mother just a toddler left with relatives. Then she lost Griffith at the very end. Terrible." "My Tide was a good man," the lady reminisced, "but Nan never really got over the loss of Griffith. She was lucky to marry such a good man after her loss." Ambrose inclined his head. Griffith was his friend as well. They shared the loss and helped one another. The eldest of the current team is younger than your Nan was." "Children, then," the lady said. "The girl you brought here is with them?" He nodded. "She is their leader, and a first one. She has the blessing of Madoc." The old lady looked impressed. "Good gracious," Ambrose exclaimed. "I appear to have mislaid my manners. Ginny, I crave your pardon. May I introduce Evina? She's the highest of all the Druids." Ginny curtsied. Evina smiled and raised a hand in greeting. "I have seen Mrs. Potter before," Evina said. "On the pitch and off. I'm a great Quidditch fan. The Harpies, naturally." "Have preparations begun, Evina?" Ambrose asked, with a sense of urgency in his tone. "All is going well, Emrys," she assured him. "Elenith, Gwilym, and Rhys have been there since a few minutes after you informed me. They prepared everything before sunrise. We chose Dinllingui, as there will be fewer visitors there to turn away. Not that there are a lot of visitors in January. Would you like to join us for tea and barabrith? Or do you need to assemble your friends? Oh, I'm sure I'll have time for refreshments, Ambrose said. Few of them are ready to travel yet. You could always make time, Emrys. Avina smiled. Ambrose chuckled. He and Avina looked at each other for a long moment. Their faces flickered with a series of different expressions. Harry suspected a silent conversation was being conducted. Have you packed everything? Lydia's mum, Catherine, asked. Lydia smiled a wry smile. Yes, Mum. As I told Professor McGonagall about 20 seconds ago, I'm packed. I know, Catherine said. But I'm your mum, and she isn't. I need to know. And I need to keep fussing or I'll think about everything. I'm frightened for you, little one. Bloody terrified, because there's nothing I can do to help. Lydia stopped what she was doing and looked her mum in the eyes. Knowing you'll be here waiting for me when I get back helps as much as anything. I'm doing this for all the mums and dads and kids in the whole world. But mostly for you, Mum. If you want to do something, you can look after Sophie's mum and Freddie's mum. And Elsa, too. She'll be pining for Sophie and Xander, and probably Dev as well. Catherine smiled. And Nana Inkwood? Lydia laughed. I don't think Nana Inkwood needs looking after in any situation. I wish she was coming with us. She'd tell the Watcher to stop all this foolishness. Sophie was nearby and turned to join in. They'd probably seal this portal forever to keep her out. The three of them laughed. So you've got everything, Catherine persisted. Literally everything, Mum, Lydia insisted. Where is it all then? Lydia's mum demanded. Lydia held up a small rucksack. It's all in here. I just restarted my school trunk into something more portable. Catherine laughed. You could have made it carry itself, couldn't you? I did think about giving it legs so it could just follow us, Lydia grinned. That's going too far. What if it wandered off? This is less conspicuous. Is Xander in there? Sophie asked. No, Lydia said. He's around somewhere. Probably saying goodbye to Fenton's cooking. Maybe he's hiding, Catherine suggested. Big scaredy cat. Meow, Xander protested, springing up onto the side table next to them. They had not told Catherine nor anyone else that Xander could speak. Lydia was convinced that the knowledge would freak them the heck out. It seems odd that Xander's going with you, but Elsa's staying here, Catherine mused. Xander's a lot more magical than Elsa, and Ambrose says we'll need him, Lydia explained. Catherine nodded. Oh yes, Ambrose said cats can sense things even he can't. I hope he'll be all right and not take silly risks. Xander stretched from the edge of the table to rub his head on Catherine's arm. She picked him up, cuddled him, and whispered in his ear. Look after each other, you lot, Catherine insisted. That's like exactly the plan, Mrs. Wubble-you, said Freddie, arriving on the scene. Are you all packed, Freddie? Freddie held up a rucksack similar to Lydia's. Sophie held up another. While Lydia's was a greyish sage-green canvas texture, Sophie's was a mid-green satin with small broomstick emblems. Freddie's had silvery fur. He stroked it. Freddie grinned. Lydia made them for all of us. They're copied from her Travellighter trunk, which I'm pretty sure must be illegal, but we can carry anything we want. Dean's will be full of pasties and pies, and Oddie and Dev will have, like, whole libraries in theirs. And Shona's probably brought everyone she's ever met, and they're all screaming to get out, but we can't hear them. Lydia glowered at him, and Sophie punched his arm. Just shut up about Shona, you, Lydia commanded. She's a bloody superstar. Oh, and what am I? Freddie protested. Chopped liver? It can be arranged, said Sophie in a menacing tone. I can't believe you're excited, Freddie, Lydia said. I'm maintaining the cosmic balance, said Freddie, spreading his arms in an explanation of the concept of the cosmos. Trying to even out your misery and negativity. I'm losing badly. Catherine laughed and hugged the young man. I'm so glad you were with them, Freddie. Everyone needs a Freddykins at times like this. Well, I could have always... Freddie began. Lydia interrupted. Sorry, time to go. Everyone, time to go, she announced. Make sure you've got everything you need, otherwise my mum will probably explode. Dean grabbed the last bacon sandwich from the breakfast table. Lydia and Sophie kissed Catherine. Fenton waved. Then they all disappeared from the old rectory.